voted for Donald Trump, and now I regret it.
Voting for him based off of the economy the first time around, and I'm seeing a significant decline.
I voted for Trump, and I regret it now.
As a Hispanic, I voted for Donald J. Trump.
I don't recognize this administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening.
I'm regretting not voting for Donald Trump.
And then terrorizing the world. Now things are just going to get more expensive.
Dude, I regret it so much, man.
We're only 6 months into President Trump being president, and already some people regret casting their vote for him in the 2024 election. I'm a little bit surprised by that because I've always felt like Trump was very, very clear about what he wanted to do as president. I remember when he ran in 2016 and all of the things he said that made me leave the Republican Party. I did not vote for Trump in 2016. I voted independent, and maybe I'll do a video about why I left the right, because I was a very right-wing activist from the time I was 14 till 25 years old. And I even worked on a Republican presidential campaign. Now I know that not all voters pay as much attention as nerdy me pays attention to candidates, but I have always felt that Trump has been clear from the time he came down the escalator in 2015 of what he wanted to do as president. It seems to me that some people are finally realizing this. Better late than never, I guess. So today I thought I would react to some people who are sharing their voter regret on social media. Why do they regret voting for Donald Trump? So this first person that I'm going to watch their video, the original video, I think she deleted it from social media, but in that original video, she shared that her father was going to be deported by ICE because he was not legally a resident of the United States. Sorry, my dog is she wants to say hi. I chose not to watch this video until I could record it, so I missed the first video because I was also choosing to not watch that until I could record it, but I've learned my lesson. Either screen record it and save it for later, or don't save it because it's going to get deleted.
These days it would be for me to say that I wasn't thinking when I voted or that I don't watch the news. I had to ask myself the same question that hundreds of you are asking me, is why did I vote the way I did? I've spent the last few days reflecting, and I feel like I came through some sort of revelation, or like blindfolds were ripped off my eyes. I started seeing things differently.
It is unfortunate that it took a very personal loss and something that caused her personal pain for her to realize like the actual consequences of her vote.
I started to realize that it wasn't just this one choice I made. It was kind of a accumulation of choices I've been making for years. Like, for example, when I had my first daughter, I never taught her Spanish because I didn't care to have her learn Spanish. And after having my second daughter, I kind of knew that I wanted her to speak Spanish because I wanted her to be able to speak with my family and connect with them and have a sense of belonging with them.
That's really sad, actually, that it wasn't just assimilation for her. It was a rejection of her immigrant culture that actually enriches the United States. And like all of us are the descendants of immigrants, except for the indigenous among us. And to see someone actively not only reject their heritage, but cause harm to their parents who brought them to this country, to give them a better chance at life, it's kind of heartbreaking.
I received online, although it was harsh, I feel like it was so needed, and I'm so thankful for it because it made me realize things that I was blind to for so many years. I feel like living in South Florida, surrounded by Republican voices, I was brainwashed into thinking I was one of them. I fell for the propaganda, the normalization of cruelty, and I believed the lies that gave me a false sense of security and belonging.
And that's what fascism does, is it weaponizes your own tendencies to be cruel and to think you're better than other people in order for you to participate in systematic harm to the people around you. The fascism that Donald Trump relies on to win elections, the fascist tendencies that seem to lie dormant in the American culture, rely on killing our cultural empathy for other people by allowing people to buy into the idea that they have a level of privilege that other people do not deserve. It allows them to breathe, vote, enjoy cruelty at the expense of other people's humanity.
I was convinced that voting for Trump was for the economy or against crime, when in reality I was supporting a man and a movement that dehumanizes people.
This is 100% right. Every time a populist, right-wing, fascist-leaning person comes into power, they use the economy and crime to drive their movement forward.
Basically built his platform on targeting immigrants, spreading hate, and pushing policies that ultimately broke families apart. I regret my vote so deeply, and if I could go back and change it, I would.
She mentioned that Trump has created policies that tear families apart, and this reminds me recently of an interview with Tony Gilroy of Andor, and he talks about, is Andor a leftist show? And he said it's not leftist as much as it is anti-imperial. And the empire, the basis of the empire is anti-community. And that's the same with Trump. He's anti-community. He gets you to vote against the interest of your community in order to promote the individual. And that is empire. That is the heart of empire and fascism. The elevation of the individual over community, and tearing community apart is the foundation of many of Trump's policies.
It wasn't just a mistake. It was the ultimate betrayal of the very people that I come from. My dad isn't a criminal. He was a hardworking man. He raised me and my 4 siblings, and now he's fighting for his life in a cell. I'm still fighting with everything I have to see if I can get him released so that he's able to spend his final days at home surrounded by his family and his children.
Anyone who wishes this woman's dad to be deported because of her vote, I don't want you on my side. I don't want you as part of my movement. I don't want you in my political party. Like, if you want to see people punitively punished because of a mistake they made, then you're really not part of my, you're not going to be part of the winning side to defeat the rise of fascism and far-right nationalism in this country. The only way to fight back the attack on our communities is to embrace community with people who have come to realize that they have been hoodwinked, that they have been betrayed by the current president, and who need our help. Like, we have to help those who may have accidentally or intentionally harmed us. I don't support anyone who is cheering for this woman's father to be deported. Like, the suffering of other people does no good. Like, her suffering will not stop Donald Trump. Reveling in the suffering of others, reveling in the consequences of their own actions, while it may provide you some personal I told you so, it actually benefits Donald Trump, because that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to delight in pain and lose your sense of empathy.
I supported the very system that allows this kind of cruelty to happen. That is a choice that I have to live with. Some people have said that my family deserves this, or that I or my dad deserve it, or that it's some sort of justice. But no person deserves to go through anything like this. No.
Karma is not justice. It will never be justice, and delighting in the downfall of other people is not justice.
No person deserves to be ripped away from their family. No one deserves to die alone and sick and far from people who love them. To my family, to my community, to my children, and to every single person who has been affected by the choice that I made, I am so sorry. I've started
and that's all you can really do, is acknowledge the wrong you have done, acknowledge the consequences of your actions, and then do everything in your power to prevent it from happening again.
Educating myself on immigration, on the US history, on systematic racism, and how people in power manipulate and try to divide us. I'm reading, listening, learning, and unlearning everything that I thought I knew. And to anyone who is feeling the same regret as I am, I want you guys to know that there's still a way for us to move forward, but it starts with honesty first. Somewhere along the way, I forgot where I came from. I forgot the dirt roads I used to walk down. I forgot the bucket baths I used to take. I forgot my mom's struggle and my dad's sacrifice to come to a brand new country to start a life for all of us. When I voted the way that I did, I turned my back on all of it. I know that a lot of you aren't going to forgive me, and I'm really not expecting anyone to, but I just want everyone to know that I'm going to move forward with more compassion, continue educating myself, and fight for.
It's not on us to forgive people who voted for Trump. Forgiveness, I don't even know if forgiveness is like the right way to approach somebody who voted for Trump. In order to benefit this country, in order to fix the problems that this administration is causing and will cause for the next 3.5 years, we have to bring people into our side, into the Democratic coalition, who made mistakes, who voted for Trump, and who are willing to change and do the work to make the United States a better, more equal society. Because right now, the Democratic Party is the minority party. Fewer people voted for the Democrats, especially in blue states like in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, and Miami. In places that traditionally voted Democratic, they voted more Republican. You can't alienate those people by saying you're no longer welcome. You made a horrific mistake and we don't forgive you. Like, in order to better our country, we have to acknowledge that people did vote horribly and that Donald Trump is really, really good at mass persuasion and convincing people that cruelty wins over empathy. And we have to offer better policies and solutions for the problems that people face every single day. And we can't be snide and rude towards them because they were hoodwinked by Donald Trump. There's nothing special about you if Donald Trump didn't convince you to vote for him. Like, you were privileged if you were able to see through the lies and manipulation, because the media ecosystem, social media, the propaganda, everything out there was in favor of Donald Trump. So if you're lucky enough to have been raised by someone who taught you to think for yourself and think outside the social media bubble, and you didn't fall for propaganda, good for you, but that doesn't make you better than somebody else who happened to have fallen for it. I don't hate on anyone who voted for Donald Trump who acknowledges it and wants to not do it again, and who regrets it. I feel bad for them because that's embarrassing. But being able to see that their vote actively harmed people is the first step towards fixing it. Okay, this next video we're going to watch is of someone that I will never welcome into my coalition because they deny basic science, they deny the moon landing, they deny like basic history, and they're anti-Semitic and hateful, and I don't like them. I don't really care who she votes for because she is not a person that I ever will turn to. If you haven't figured out, I'm talking about Candace Owens. Anyway, she's been pretty public about her disappointment in Donald Trump, so let's hear what she has to say.
It is stunning to watch Trump do this. He's all over the place right now on social media. I mean, he initially signaled right away that America had nothing to do with what happened in Iran.
Trump has always been this way. He's always flip-flopped based on what serves his self-interest. So for someone like Candace Owens to express surprise about that and to be upset with him is wild. It's whack-a-mole to me, because Trump has always changed his mind based on what will make him look like a strong man, what will make him look the best. If Netanyahu looks weak, he won't side with Israel. He attacked Netanyahu after October 7th because Israel looked like a fool for allowing the October 7th attack. Now that Netanyahu is acting like a strong man by attacking Iran, of course Trump is going to side with him because he wants to look like he's on the winning side. As soon as it looks like Netanyahu is losing, though, he's going to back out. And I don't understand how Candace Owens, who claims to be skeptical of everything, who doesn't even believe that we landed on the moon. I can't take anyone seriously who believes the moon landing was fake. As an American, Candace Owens says she's super proud to be an American. As an American, the moon landing is our greatest achievement in American history, other than defeating the Nazis during World War II. Also, our greatest achievement is defeating the Nazis and landing on the moon. Like, two things I will eternally be proud of as an American. Also, our national parks. Like, come on, folks. There's some basic things you can be proud of as an American. And Candace Owens denying the moon landing is embarrassing for her as an American. Anyway, let's keep watching.
That America was not going to get involved, that he was negotiating peace. Then he signaled that he didn't have any idea that the attack was coming, but also that he did know that the attack was coming. And now he's tweeting we. He's literally using we to describe what is happening in Iran right now. Let's just take a look at some of these tweets. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. Oh, well, hey, yeah, we've got our planes in the skies. Okay, American troops might die, but USA, 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 because our stuff is so good and good looking in the sky. The big bad American planes are in the sky. What does he think? We're stupid?
I think, Candace, he actually does think you're stupid. It doesn't take much to win over Candace's vote. It just takes not being the current person elected, because Candace just wants to go against whatever is in power. I mean, she has supported some things that Trump has done. I think she sometimes supported some things that Biden did. But the main thing is, actually, I should correct myself. Candace is not stupid. Trump does not think she is stupid. What Trump and everybody else knows about Candace is whatever is going to make Candace the most money is who she is going to side with. And whoever is funding her show is probably like I'm assuming and it's pretty clear that Candace has made the most money by fomenting right-wing anti-Semitic audiences, and that has propelled her platform. And Trump siding with Israel actively harms her platform and goes against the audience that she has curated, so she by necessity needs to attack Trump.
The people online that are trying to pretend that we are the ones betraying Trump for holding him accountable to his promises that he made to us when we voted for him, when we encouraged other people to vote for him.
Trump has always made promises and then not held them up. He promised to make IVF free. Like, come on, Candace. Like, you should be smarter than this, but it is a pretty high bar to ask you to use your brain cells for something other than a conspiracy theory.
You're pretending that we're the ones that are problematic? This level of gaslighting that's taking place, you got Laura Loomer out there saying, screenshot every tweet that's against Donald Trump. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. You better start capturing Donald Trump's tweets that are going out right now, because they seem pretty against Donald Trump's ideas of yesteryear.
Yeah, Trump has always flip-flopped and gone with whatever has served his self-interest. Shocker, Candace. Shocker, shocker. You're so smart that you can come up with the wildest conspiracy theories about the president of France's wife, but you can't even understand a man who has made his intentions very clear from the beginning. He is in this to enrich himself. Like, he is in this to enrich himself. If the Trump mobile phones didn't tell you that, I don't know what else would. This person deleted their video, but the good news is I downloaded it from TikTok before they did, and I just realized I downloaded it. I thought I had not, and it was no longer in my saved folder. But thank goodness it's right here, so we can react to it.
Just come out and tell me I don't deserve forgiveness, I don't deserve this or that. I get it. I get it. You guys are really, really angry right now.
Earlier, we talked about forgiveness a little bit. Forgiveness is a weird concept when it comes to politics. Like, forgiveness is if somebody, like, harms you physically, like they steal from you, or they slap you, or they harm your child. Using religious terms like forgiveness over political actions is very messy, and I am very uncomfortable with it. So I think it took me till this long in the video to publicly state that I think saying you forgive someone for their vote is stupid and you should not do it, because politics is not moral in the way that it's a sin or a virtue. It is politics, not religious in any sort of context. And I think the idea that someone needs to earn forgiveness for a political choice instead of just doing what's right. Like, you don't have to earn forgiveness for your past choices. You just have to start doing what's right. Like, you just have to invest in your community and do better. Like, your community forgiveness is like, what is that? Like, if a community is like, we forgive you and we're no longer public shaming you? Are we in 1690s Puritan Salem where the community decides if you're forgiven and can participate in community? No. We're not doing punitive punishments on people for how they voted. We're giving people the opportunity to do better without being the morality police over politics. And maybe that's uncomfortable to say, but that's what I believe.
I get it. I get it. You guys are really, really angry right now. But hopefully I can earn your trust back I do plan to have my first protest June 14th. I am meeting Daria. She is another TikToker here, and she lives right close by, so I'm really looking forward to this. I am here to make...
I'm so excited for her. If she went to the No Kings protest, that's amazing. That's incredible. We should be celebrating that. People are going to show up at protests. They're going to vote with you in the future who have voted against your interest in the past. And you either accept that, learn to live with it, or you further isolate yourself and your political future from the community around you. And I'm so happy for this woman, like showing up to create change in her community after doing something that caused political harm to her community.
Make a change. And I would love to see this man impeached and out of office. So if others want to come forward, please, we need you. We need you, and we need to hear your story. Remember, I love you guys, and you guys still matter. Go out there and win the day.
I agree with her. We need to invite people in and make being anti-Trump a big tent endeavor. We need to make voting for Democrats a big tent endeavor. That doesn't mean that we promote former Republicans to positions of authority or leadership in the Democratic Party. That's not what I'm saying. We don't have to make a leader of someone who was a former Republican becoming a Democrat. We can share their story to encourage other Republicans to leave the Republican Party and come out. I think that is what's confusing to people, is they're like, I don't want to reward you by giving you a platform because you voted for Trump. You don't have to give them your attention, but sharing their story in order to get the attention of other former Trump voters matters. And as long as they're using their platform to further good, I'm not going to police who deserves a platform or not. Obviously, I want to promote people who've been in this fight forever, who have always been fighting for community good. But promoting one person doesn't necessarily take away the voices of marginalized people or people who have always been on the right side of history. I think elevating people who are making good choices and doing what's right after making mistakes is good in this attention economy. Like, I would rather elevate this woman than Candace Owens. And unfortunately, a Candace Owens and a Dave Smith and a Ben Shapiro already has a huge, much wider platform, and they're going to continue to promote candidates who will harm us in the long run. So I would rather promote someone who made a mistake, who regrets it, who publicly acknowledges that, and also shows up at a No Kings protest. Because Candace Owens can hate on Trump all she wants, but you know that woman is not showing up at a No Kings protest. She is not showing up to promote candidates and political change that will help our entire country. She is still showing up just to promote her own self-interest. And unfortunately, I saved this TikTok. I know I did. I both saved it to my phone and saved it to my folder to go react to, and the TikTok was deleted. This woman got so much backlash that she had to delete the TikTok. Shame on us for that. Shame on whoever is harassing people who are publicly acknowledging their mistake and fighting to do what's right. That is not what I'm about. If that's what you're about, skedoodle on out of here. Find another channel to be punitive about your politics, because I'm not about punitive politics over here. The Republican Party has been very much the party of business, so to see business folks publicly regret their vote for Trump, that is a step in the right direction, and that's what this next video is about.
Financially as well as emotionally. It takes a toll. You know, you get to know these guys. You become their friends. Just not an employer, but a friend. And you see what happens to their family. It's quite a shock. They did everything right, and they all had their work permits. They all, a couple and few of them have driver's licenses. They worked with me on the Navy base, which had to go through intense security, and they found out all about their past. And you become connected with them and more than just a boss-employee.
You voted for Donald Trump?
Yes, I did.
If you had a chance to sit across the president like you do now with me, what would you say to him?
Well, you know, the buck stops there, right? I did not understand his wishes to go after people who are legally here and trying to do right by them and their families.
Unfortunately, the media has so made the right-wing media has so created a narrative that we are only, quote, deporting illegal people. As he said, his workers had work permits. I saw another video, a news report, 5 of them had asylum claims that were processing. You have right-wing influencers who were saying we're only deporting illegals, and if a person came to your house in the middle of the night and walked in, you would kick them out. By the way, that's a very stupid analogy, and I have been searching for the words to describe it, but it is such a stupid analogy. It's not logical. America is not private property. It is a country. Countries are not houses. We are not a middle-aged castle with a moat around it that we're stocking with crocodiles and turrets and cannon fire to keep people out. That's not how immigration works. People immigrating to a country is not coming in and kicking you out of your own home. The influencers who say that do not understand the difference between private property and a country. Every time I hear it, it aggravates me. Because someone who has a work permit or an asylum claim is not harming you by requesting to be here. They're not breaking the laws. In fact, they're following the laws. And this administration is so anti-brown people, it simply wants to ban all immigration from non-white Western nations, that it is not holding up its end of the legal bargain. These people have properly filed for asylum, they've properly gotten work permits, and their work permits are being revoked. Their asylum claims are being thrown out without due process. They are being deported even though they have done what they were legally supposed to do to be here. And I think many people assumed that the president simply wanted to deport folks who were criminals, who did not have asylum claims or did not have work permits, who overstayed their visas and never did anything about it and perhaps broke the law in other ways. And you'd have to be really in the know of the mind of Voldemort, Stephen Miller, to realize how draconian and fascist this immigration policy is and how it was going to be enacted by President Trump under Stephen Miller and how hard it was going to hit small businesses who were going to lose workers. And there's not enough Americans to fill those jobs. Like, most Americans have a job. The unemployment rate is very low. So it's not like Americans are scrambling to work construction or other jobs that these small businesses needed immigrant workers for. But instead of that, you have right-wing influencers talk about how our houses are being attacked and you wouldn't let a stranger take over your house. And you hear that kind of logic and you assume that that's what the policy is about. It's about preventing people from illegally occupying your home, not about kicking out people who have rightful asylum claims and have gotten their work permits to be here.
And I didn't understand that that's what he was trying to do. From what I understood, from what he has said, and from what ICE officials have said, that is not at all what they're doing. And then all the representatives of them are stating the same thing. That's not what we're doing. We're going after the criminals. Well, what happened here? This situation is just totally, just blatantly not at all what they said it was.
100% right. Trump lied. The sky is blue. We understand. Unfortunately, a lot of Americans fell for it. That's why he won. And the way the right-wing media ecosystem works, even if we scream from the rooftops, Stephen Miller wants to deport everyone who's ever immigrated to the United States, the right-wing media ecosystem is much stronger than the actual truth. And the average voter hears more of what Fox News and these massive podcasts like Joe Rogan and other people who talk about deporting criminals, not the actual nuts and bolts of Stephen Miller's immigration policy that Trump put in office to enforce. And that message, we're just deporting criminals, became pervasive. And it is really hard until it was enacted for people to realize the true evil and the economic detriment of this president's immigration policy.
And the people that I know, the liberal people that I know really well, really close people, you know, that I know, warned me that that's what they worried about, that ICE was just going to go after everybody arbitrarily, just grab them all, sort them out, and not really care what kind of damage they were doing to, whether it's a business locally or whether it's the families that they're destroying actually by doing this. I would argue, like I said, I would argue that that's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. Well, now I have to rethink a lot of things. Buyer's remorse, I don't know, a little bit. Yeah, it's going to reflect on what I did and who I voted for. And I'm going to wonder why they did what they did. And I'd like some kind of explanation if they cared to give it at all.
As this man said, his liberal friends warned him and he thought they were crazy. The right-wing media ecosystem is so strong. It is so good at staying on message that when people warn their true intentions, they sound insane. Because the idea of deporting millions of hardworking people, because the idea of deporting thousands of hardworking people with families and work visas and asylum requests in the United States kind of seems crazy. Like, it seems it would hurt businesses in the economy, and your whole shtick was, I'm going to fix the economy. Why would you do that? So it did make, so his liberal friends did seem outrageous and crazy. And there is a lot of inside of me and many people, oh, I told you so. Unfortunately, feeling that sense of justice and I told you so doesn't fix anything. And I'm glad the media interviewed him, and I hope his experience is elevated and that more people who voted Republican see it and understand why this immigration policy is so terrible, and that we need comprehensive immigration reform, and that mass deportation is not the answer to that. And you know, we have a Republican Congress and a Republican Senate. If Republicans are upset enough at mass deportation and how it's flawed and harming the economy, they can pass comprehensive immigration reform. I think we should be pushing for that. We should be pushing Republicans to fix the system, not deport people. You know, as I'm saying this, I think I'm going to call my congressman and talk to him about that, because y'all are in power. Y'all are fussing at immigration and the problem when you're the ones who can fix it. You're the president. Instead of focusing on ICE, instead of focusing on causing backlash in blue cities, could call up Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and say, hey, let's fix immigration so this isn't a problem in 2 years. So this isn't a problem for future presidents. I think he's more interested in the theatrics of deporting people than he is in actually fixing the problem, but we gotta push them to do what's right. I don't know if I'll agree with their immigration reform, but deportation is not the answer. And in order to fight deportation, we also have to push them to create comprehensive immigration reform. I actually really enjoyed filming this video. I had a lot of technical issues. I almost gave up halfway through and scratched the entire video. I'm not sure the audio is going to be that good for some of the clips. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. It will be interesting to see if we have more folks who come out and talk about their voter regret. If I see it on the timeline, I'm going to bookmark it, save it to my phone, and react to it later. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Liz. You can catch me all over the internet. You can also become a channel member and get member exclusive videos. If you have a topic that you would like me to cover, drop it in the comments and I'll be scouting them out. And I'll see you guys all around the internet. Till next time, see ya.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.